what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy LSU Auburn as the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, big favorites this weekend. 11.5, boys. And I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it. Look, there are a lot of things I love about LSU going into this game. First off, the offense is completely unstoppable. And although Auburn does have a salty defense, I'll take this LSU offense against any defense. Like, I don't care. I think they're going to put up great numbers against any defense. But the LSU defense is, what's the opposite of unstoppable?
Stoppable.
No, yeah. But they don't get stopped. So the LSU defense finds opponents' offenses to also be unstoppable.
Okay, yeah.
So that is the problem. As in the updated stop rate rankings, LSU has dropped down to 128 or 125 last week, Jake. They have now fallen behind UL Monroe. LSU stops people 42.9% of the time. ULM stops them 43.5%. You're still the last team in the Power 5. I think Mississippi State is the next worst, which, yikes. Zach Arnett. I mean, I knew you were in the offense, but come on. Mississippi State's but even Mississippi State's in the teens.
Yeah, right.
So you are over 10 spots behind them. Let's just look at who you're kind of ranked around. Nevada, San Jose State, Louisiana Monroe, LSU, Arkansas State, Kent State, Hawaii, Charlotte, and then New Mexico is last in the country. That said, I just saw Peter Burns' tweet. LSU's pass defense, 121 in the country. Auburn's pass offense, 121 in the country. I think this LSU front seven is going to continue to get better with Pete Jenkins helping out that defensive line. I think their biggest weakness is by far in the secondary, and I think this is an Auburn team that is not necessarily very well suited to take advantage of that weakness. Jake, do we see any defensive life from the Tigers this week?
You hope so because of who you're playing offensively. When you look at – I'll give you an example. So when you look at the Auburn Tigers, right, points for this year in every game, conference, non-conference, 148. LSU scored 173 just in conference play.
Wow.
Right? So you scored 4 more touchdowns just in conference play. I mean, it's not an offense that is really going to go out there and scare you. They're not going to threaten you a lot of different ways. They have really struggled to throw the football. And so if you give up passing yards to Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne, it's never going to get better. It's just not. Like that. This is going to be the worst passing offense you face all season long outside of maybe Army. I hadn't done a deep dive yet into Army, and I know they changed their offense, and obviously not real interested in throwing the football. But this has to be for your defense a get-right game.
Yeah.
It does. And I know it's the Auburn Tigers. I know this series is wonky as hell, and I know that it's always something, be it, clock running down to 0, good and bad for you, barns burning in the background. Like, we all know the history of this series. But when you look at who they have offensively at receiver, or maybe what they don't have, we went over it. I mean, a tight end is their second leading receiver. Their leading receiver doesn't even have 200 yards in the season.
Yeah.
If you can't show up and you can't hold this passing offense down, then it's never going to get better, and you're only going to have to outscore teams every single game because, well, you've done that. I mean, you've scored the most points in conference play, and it's not even close. You've scored the most points overall, and it's not really close. The only one even close to you is Georgia. I mean, you scored 269 points this year. Georgia's 244, and that's second in the SEC, I believe. Maybe Ole Miss is right there too, like 250 or something. So, I mean, you've got the offense to be able to go out there, play bad defense, as we've seen, and win football games. You should play better defense in this matchup. You have every advantage to do that.
I mean, what's the only game that you looked good defensively? Mississippi State. Why is that? because their passing game was completely inept and they relied on running the ball. Well, that's exactly what Auburn's going to do as well. Like, one thing about this LSU defense is, as awful as it's been, you have faced Jordan Travis, Brady Cook, Jackson Dart. Like, you have faced some of the better quarterbacks in college football. Brady Cook, Peyton Thorne is not. And we all know about Robbie Ashford and what he can do with his legs, but not much with his arms. So,
and even with his legs, Robbie Ashford, not to cut you off, T, he's not that guy this year. It's actually been,
been more Thorne.
It's been Peyton Thorne, but just like these stats are for the year. Okay, Peyton Thorne, he's thrown for 643 yards.
Yeah,
and he's by far their leading quarterback. He doesn't even have 100 attempts yet. So they're not even trying to throw the football. I mean, he is 59 of 94, 643. All right. Robbie Ashford's 8 of 18 for 71 yards. They have, as a team, they have 5 passing touchdowns this year, 4 interceptions.
So all of this is to say that the defense should be much better. And you say, oh, but T-Bob, this is the same offense that put up 200 rush yards against Georgia. And they had a late lead on Georgia. They only lost by 7, right? Or was it 8 by the end of the game? It doesn't matter.
27-20.
Okay, there you go, 27-20. So they only lost by 7 to defending 2-time national champs. And I get all of this. But that game was in Jordan-Hare, and a Jordan-Hare that was fired up, filled to the gills. Remember what we talked about last week when we talked about the Napoleon quote, in war, morale as to the physical, as to 3 parts out of 4, basically saying that morale matters when it comes to these tough physical things that we do. And I told you last week, well, Mizzou couldn't have been more sky high. LSU could not have been lower. So LSU showed some mental toughness to me, going on the road for a second week in a row against a ranked team and finding a way to come back and win that game after digging a hole early. Like, it would have been all too easy to give up. But they showed me something mentally and physically. They showed me leadership. They showed me toughness. I think the biggest element of this game has to do with nothing on the field. I think it's the team finally returning home after spending 4 of the first 6 weeks on the road, traveling all over the country. I think it's the team finally returning home for a night game in Tiger Stadium where it should be packed. Everybody's going to go, everybody wants to buy tickets to the Jaden Daniels show. It's going to be electric like they haven't experienced all year long. Like Whit Weeks was talking about not being able to feel his legs in that first his first experience in Death Valley. It's going to be way different this time around. So that's actually what pushes me more than anything to LSU winning this game. And I'm probably going to stay away from this. I don't think I'm going to bet it, but I kind of think win this game handily for that very reason. And I know, but Auburn's always close. That's what's giving me hesitance. Because, Auburn always goes wonky and sideways. And people said the same thing about Arkansas, and look what happened there. But I think you're a better team than when you played Arkansas. I think you've learned some things about yourself the last couple of weeks. And so, yeah, I really like LSU this weekend, mainly because you're going to be in Death Valley. It's going to be insane, and you're finally just going to be at home after being on the road so long.
Yeah, we talked about the Arkansas game. It was going to have to be KJ Jefferson doing exactly what he did, and he went out there and he did it, and that's why that game was obviously close to the very end. You had to kick a field goal to win that game. As bad as you are right now defensively, Auburn might be worse offensively.
Yeah.
When the things that you struggle with, they also struggle with. 9 passes a game, I think, one time for Peyton Thorne. It's just not what they do, right? And they're not running the football well either. That's the other part of it.
Yeah, they're second to last in the SEC in total offense.
Their leading rusher, Hunter, he's got 202 yards on the season, 3.9 yards a carry. Peyton Thorne made some hay against Georgia, but that was really the only game that he did that as far as that kind of rushing total. And so it's not like he's done that all season long either. As a team, they're rushing, I think, 4.7 yards per carry. They've got 12 touchdowns on the year, but they're not running it at a clip that makes up for the deficiencies in the passing game.
Fonz Fonzarelli says, "Oh God, T-Bob with his guarantee win, handily win. Things are touch of death, Bob." Okay, when have I been wrong about this LSU team? I told y'all you should have been more scared of Florida State. We nailed the Mississippi State game harder than we've nailed anything in our life. Arkansas, I was wrong. I thought you would outperform Arkansas in the trenches more. I thought you would win and cover that game. Said no such thing about Ole Miss. Said nothing like that about Mizzou. We said all week long Mizzou was going to be a battle and that Brady Cook and Luther Burden were going to go off. That's exactly what happened. So when have I really been wrong about this LSU? And then also in this Auburn, what did I just say? I said I like LSU to win. I'm probably staying away from playing the game. But I just love the fact that the Tigers are going to be in a Death Valley environment that's going to be loud and insane. And matchup-wise, it seems infinitely more favorable than did Mizzou and Ole Miss because those offenses are just great. And then did Arkansas because KJ Jefferson at times in his career has been great. Like to Jake's point, we haven't seen that at all out of Thorne or Ashford. So let's just like be clear about how my LSU calls have gone so far this season. Like I did not play LSU to cover last week. I guess I was wrong about that by the end.
I put it in my best bets on pregame in the SEC. So
there we go. Money, dude.
So I really appreciated Major Burns not sliding.
That is oh man, hell yeah, dude. Hey, it worked out, dude. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Okay, just chill out. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.